left and right. Every video has me going left and right. Oh my gosh. You sound great.
Let's see.
Good morning.
Will it play back? Do we not know how to...
It's not recording, but it sure sounds good. All right, are we ready?
Ah! Sounds dumb.
We're recording all of
I haven't helped us all.
Emily. Good.
Cool.
Funny.
It's fine. Okay.
Cool. All right, should I read my passage?
Yes.
It's very short. All right. Jacob's eyes strayed to the ocean. Sam did love Leah, but when he saw Emily, they didn't matter. Oh, starting over.
All good.
Jacob's eyes strayed to the ocean. Sam did love Leah, but when he saw Emily, that didn't matter anymore. Sometimes we don't exactly know why. We find our mates that way. His eyes flashed back to me, his face reddening. I mean, our soulmates. What way? Love at first sight? I snickered. Jacob wasn't smiling. His dark eyes were critical of my reaction. It's a little bit more powerful than that. More absolute. Sorry, I muttered. You're serious, aren't you? Yeah, I am. Love at first sight, but more powerful? My voice still sounded dubious, and he could hear that. Scene. Do you have a cough, too?
No, that's the first cough of the day, so...
I feel like I have a nagging, like...
That's how, we'll see.
Just little wants to cough. I've also been sneezing. Fun.
It's fine.
All right.
Let me talk into this, I guess.
All right. Are we ready? Do you have any other
Uh,
business? Any other
Nah.
thing we need to do?
Nah.
Okay. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
To
Remember?
Twilight.
Okay. I was like editing a bunch of videos this week. I was like, after a year, we still have the worst intro of any podcast I've ever heard. And you know what? I'm okay with it.
It's fine, I think.
We have like this whole thing. We play a song, we have a thing, we have a blah blah blah, and then we just are us.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Anyway, speaking of us, my name is Maren.
My name is Emily.
And we are
Remember Twilight? That was
And
better.
Yes. In today's episode of Remember Twilight, we are covering Chapter 5 of Eclipse. So excited.
Everyone's favorite chapter.
It is Imprint.
Imprint.
Oh.
You guys ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I mean, I have had lots of time to think about this chapter, and before we started today, I sat down and I was like, how do we want to talk about imprinting? Like, do we want to talk about it from like the like normal, this is gross, blah 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 type of like feeling, or do we want to come at it from like, it's a magical thing that happens to this already magical people? Because that's the side I err on. Like, to me, this is a magical thing that happens to these magical creatures, and I kind of love it. I think it's really sweet and tender because I don't think of it as grooming.
I think both can exist at the same time. I think that's something that we've been pretty good about with everything
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't want anybody to be confused. I love these books.
What?
Just so I'm perfectly clear.
Oh.
These books are very special and beautiful and important to me, and even there's a lot of things that people don't like, and you know what I have to say to them? Go away. Because this is it's a supernatural magical story, and magical things happen, and I think that there's a lot of beautiful things about imprinting.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to put that out there, and I'm going to come at it from that point of view completely.
Yeah, I think something that people have a hard time letting go when they're reading like fantasy novels is reality.
Yes.
And like in real life, this is bad, and in real life, this would be very, very disturbing. However, it is not real life. It is not our reality. And if we can accept that vampires are just like casual, normal thing that happens, then we can also accept that imprinting is a normal, casual thing that sometimes happens.
Casual vampires.
You know them.
I do. I know them and I love them.
Okay, before we get started today, what happened last week?
I don't remember.
I'll tell you.
So.
Chapter 4, Nature. Bella had a bad week because she was worried about Victoria. Work got canceled, so she hopped into the truck and went to go visit Jacob Black.
That's right.
And just as we were getting into things, Jacob called her a fish. And then he got very, very sad.
Oh, Jakey with his sadness.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm ready for this chapter.
Perfect.
Okay.
So we pick back up on the beach. And Bella is sitting on the tree. Jacob is sitting on the ground in front of her because sometimes it's just easier to talk to people if you don't have to like look at their face directly in the eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why like nighttime laying down conversations are so long and like good because you're just looking at the ceiling.
Yep.
Not actually looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Are you okay, Jake? Charlie said you were having a hard time. Isn't it getting any better?" And I was wondering, because I'm a little unclear on this, is she asking him if he's over her yet?
Yeah.
Or is she asking about werewolf stuff?
I mean, I think she's saying it so that it could be about werewolf stuff, but they're actually talking about like, are you doing okay without me?
I know, I'm back with Edward, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird, hard question to ask a person.
Yeah.
I've never asked a person that, and it would scare me and I wouldn't do it.
Nope.
So I guess I would have to make it about being a werewolf.
Yes. Bella also asks how everyone else is doing, and she runs through, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so, and then she's about to ask about Quill, and then remembers that everyone was being very sad about him because they were kind of hoping that maybe he wouldn't be a werewolf, but also knew that it was gonna happen sometime, so everyone was just like watching him.
This is like, I'm sorry, everybody gets it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's immune. Everybody's gonna get it. I'm talking about werewolf stuff.
Yeah. This is
Guys.
Twilight.
Deep breath.
It turns out that yes, Quill did in fact become a werewolf. He is thrilled about it. He finally gets to be in the loop and gets all these cool powers and has like this built-in family.
Yeah.
And he's all about it. And
Here's what I learned about Quill.
yeah.
He is a boy who knows how to party. He is gonna take the good and run with it.
Yep.
He's so happy about this.
Mm-hmm. And it turns out that Sam and Jake are actually the only ones who actually don't really like being a werewolf and had a problem with it.
I know I keep cutting you off, but it's like, do you really think... I don't believe that Jacob doesn't like it. I just don't. I think he's pretending to not like it to make Bella feel bad. Or to, like, not make Bella feel bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be like, yeah, it sucks. But then when he's a wolf, he's like, I've never felt freer. Like, this is who I was meant to be, you know, running through the forest and with the wind blowing through his fur.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the main difference between Jacob and everyone else, aside from Sam, is that Jacob had someone outside of the reservation that he was friends with, and I think that was the hard part. I think had Bella, like, lived in the bush, it would have been a different story, but because, like, he had this one person who couldn't know about it, that was harder because all of these boys had been friends before
Sure.
they transformed, and so
Yeah,
that
okay.
would make it easier. I think it's mostly the fact that Bella is Bella
Okay.
that made it hard.
And I just feel like he's pretending that he doesn't like it.
Probably. He just wants a little sympathy, you know?
Okay.
It's fine.
It is.
You
It's
can have
fine.
it.
It's fine.
Bella then asks him, well, what happened to Sam that made him not enjoy any of this?
Oh, man.
And tells Jake that she has time for the whole story because she is in no hurry whatsoever to go back to Forks.
She does not want to go back because she knows she's going to be in so much trouble when she gets back.
There is an angry boy over there, and I'm mine here for a long time. He asks her, well, is it because Edward's going to be mad at you? And she's like, yeah, he doesn't like it when I do risky things. And Jacob's like me? Am I risky? He's very proud of it. Let's see here.
115.
Yep. Sometimes there's just like too much going on the page to want to write it down, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of, we turned into this thing where, and then we did this very early on. This was like chapter 4 of Twilight, where it turned into Emily's telling the story and I'm talking about it. And I don't know how it happened. We didn't talk about it. You guys, we didn't plan a single thing about this podcast. Anyway, but Emily does all of this writing and note taking, and then I'm just like, oh, my feelings.
Oh yes, about that. Okay, so Jacob tells her not to go back. He can stay with them, and she's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because he definitely wouldn't like break your house apart to come and get me. And Jacob's like, oh, would he dare? And she's like, well, yeah, if he thought I was hurt. And he's like, you should just stay here. And Bella's like, stop it, you have to stop wanting to kill each other, because you're gonna make me crazy, and I like you both, so I need you guys to both just be at least neutral about each other. For me. You don't have to actually like him, just like, stop it.
That's reasonable. That's a fine thing to ask.
Yeah. Annoying. Flies.
Yeah, super annoying.
So, Bella gives Jacob a good old head shove, as he deserves. And then we get into the story of Sam. And it was harder for Sam because he was the first one, which makes complete sense. He thought he had gone bonkers because the first time he turned into a wolf, he was stuck in a wolf form for 2 weeks before he could change back.
Oh, poor guy. That's really scary and really bad. I'm sure that he had heard the stories also, though. Jacob knew all the stories.
Is that because they started recirculating them because they knew all these boys were about to start changing?
And this was before Bella came to Forks. Was this because the Cullens were there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe he didn't know at all.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that makes my stomach hurt.
So scary. So Sam goes missing for 2 weeks, and so his mom and Leah get the police involved. Everyone's out looking for him. And we learn that Leah and Sam were high school sweethearts.
So, and then Bella's like, but he and Emily. And then Jacob goes, I'll get to that. It's part of the story. Dude, Jake loves to tell a story.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He's been telling stories since the first book of Twilight. He loves a story.
Yeah. When Sam did finally come back, he couldn't tell anyone what had happened or where he'd been, obviously. And so everyone just assumed that he was up to no good. Until one day, Close Grandpa comes to visit and nearly had a stroke.
Listen, strokes
when he shook Sam's hand.
Funny. Strokes aren't funny.
True.
Don't tell stroke jokes.
That's kind of funny, though.
Sorry.
Bella's confused by this, so Jake demonstrates and put his scalding hot hand upon her cheek to demonstrate the heat.
I want that.
Bella does not.
Oh.
She doesn't mind the heat, but she doesn't want Jacob to touch her, and so she pulls his hand away, but still holds it with hers, so I wouldn't hurt his feelings.
Cool.
Okay. Mr. Atera goes to the other elders of the tribes and tells them we've got a cold woo. A cold woo?
Absolutely.
A code wolf.
I didn't even know what you were trying to say. Cold woo just made so much sense.
Cold woo. And
every once in a while you get a cold woo.
I do, definitely.
Oh my gosh.
So they hold a meeting with Sam and are able to explain to him what happened, what's happening, and what is going to continue to happen.
Poor Sam.
They knew he wouldn't be the only one, so they all just sat and waited around for more and more to join. Bella tells him that the Cullens are idiots and didn't know that they were the ones who were causing all
Exactly.
of this.
Are they dumb?
They're dumb. We already know this.
I can't believe that they didn't know.
And Jake says, well, it doesn't matter because it already happened anyway. Bella tells him to grow up, and he says, I wish I could.
Oh, Jacob. I'm embarrassed for him.
He's just trying to get Bella to feel as bad as she can
He
about
is.
anything he can.
It really is. It's so annoying.
Bella, though, is pissed at the injustice of it all. Why am I the only one who has to get old? He explains that after the first phase, they age like 10 years and 2 weeks, and then they stay that age until they can stop phasing for a solid length of time.
Jeez.
Who knows how long that is? Nobody. Bella asks him again why Sam is so mad at her, and, well, this is when things get a little bit weird.
This? Okay.
Now it's the weird part.
Okay.
Bella
The
says
weird
that she's
part.
a pro at weird, though, so
She
we
really
go
is,
on.
though.
So after Sam came back, things went back to a kind of newish normal. He ended up telling Leah what was going on because she had been so mad to not know where he was all the time, why he was always out so late, why he always came home tired.
Right.
Understandable.
Yeah. Here's another example of how knowledge is power. Like, if people just knew what was happening, it would solve so many problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyway.
And then one day Emily came to visit.
Oh, no.
Then guess what?
No.
He imprinted on her.
No! He goes, don't judge him just yet. Did anyone ever tell you... ... Have you ever heard of imprinting? Well, yeah, that's
Sounds
when
disgusting.
a duckling thinks that you're its mom.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, or when Norbert thinks that Hagrid is his mom.
Exactly. That's imprinting.
Cute.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, imprinting, Bella doesn't know. She's never heard of a duck or of Hagrid.
That's true. That's probably true.
So, Jacob explains it as a bizarre thing. It doesn't happen to everyone. It is very rare.
Right.
So here's how it goes. Sam did love Leah. However, when he saw Emily, nothing else mattered.
Nothing.
0 else on the matter scale for him. Because it turns out Sam and Emily are soulmates.
Oh, Leah. I'm sorry. I just got really sad for Leah.
Yeah. Bella says, so, like, love at first sight, because me and Edward also have that thing going on.
Yeah,
he definitely imprinted on me.
He smelled me, and that was it.
And Jacob says, well, it's a little bit more powerful, that more absolute.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam hates the Cullens because they made him break Leah's heart and break every promise he'd ever made to her, which is heartbreaking.
It is so heartbreaking.
We find out that Emily and Leah are cousins and they had grown up super close. And at first, when it happened, Emily was almost as angry as Leah was. However, Jacob describes it as hard to resist that level of commitment and adoration.
So interesting. Because Bella seems to be able to resist Jacob's level of adoration. Except he's not very good at it.
He's not very good at it, and there's not like the whole
Gravity
universe
shifting
thing happening.
Cool.
And since Sam had imprinted on Emily, he could now tell her everything.
This was the first time that I realized that imprinting is a one-sided thing.
Yes.
It's like the one person imprints on the other person and the other person gets to choose.
Yeah.
I didn't know that before. I mean, I guess I knew it, but I had always just kind of been like, oh, they imprint on each other, but that's not it. It's a one person imprints and then it's just like, you're my life for the rest of my life, and then the other person gets to be like, okay, then we can be together, or we can just be best friends and soulmates.
Yeah, if like they were someone who was never like interested in any romantic relationship, they would just be best friends for the rest of their life. Or if they were someone who, like, I don't know, like had an absent father in their lives, maybe they would take on more of like a protective role.
Yeah, and
it's
I
just
actually,
kind of whatever
like,
that person needs.
it makes me feel a lot more comfortable with imprinting because the other person fully gets to choose, and most of the time they choose to be with that person forever because that person has always been their protector and their person and loves them unconditionally and fully and completely. I kind of love that. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the choice thing is really nice.
So Emily had been mad all the way up until the accident happens. And so we already know that Sam accidentally got mad about something and phased when he was too close to her, and she ended up getting really, really hurt. And this is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Sam was so horrified and sickened by himself, so full of hate for what he'd done. He would have thrown himself under a bus if it would have made her feel better. He might have anyway, just to escape what he'd done. He was shattered. Then, somehow, she was the one comforting him.
Oh, man. That's about 10 A's in there.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's not great.
It's very not great, but
yeah.
it worked for them. They resolved things. They're happy now.
But I don't know if she was like, oh shoot, I have to comfort him so that he doesn't die by suicide, or if she just realized, like, he does love me, and I actually do love him. I mean, I'm sure she liked him anyway, you know, and so for her, I don't know, like, it is implied that she was all of a sudden, like, caring for him because he was so, like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself if you don't love me, but it doesn't have to, that doesn't have to be what actually happened. Like, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that she started caring for him because he was throwing a fit.
Right.
It was said that suddenly she just started to be the one who was comforting him, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. It's just bad wording.
A little bit.
Jacob isn't the best with words.
Jacob, tell a better story.
Learn.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I forgot that it was Jacob telling this story. This is Jacob.
Well,
Yeah.
this is Jacob's interpretation of Sam's memory. Because
Sure.
obviously he's seen all of this happen firsthand.
Okay.
And this is just, I guess, the 17-year-old's retelling of
Yeah.
what happened.
Absolutely.
Bella asks Jacob if he's imprinted yet. And he says no. And
think
she's
you
like,
would have
thank
heard.
God.
I think you would have heard about it, Bella.
Unless it happened to her, and he was, well, I mean, he definitely would have told her.
Oh my
then.
gosh.
He would have made a banner and had a parade.
She'd have been like, I'm still with Edward.
Sorry. So it's only Sam and Jared who've imprinted so far. He tells her that Jared imprinted on a girl that he went to school with, and he sat by every single day, and he never looked at her, he didn't care about her whatsoever. But that she had had a huge crush on him for a long time and was writing about him in her diary. And Bella's like, Jacob, how dare Jared tell you this?
This isn't feeling very rare.
I mean,
Sorry,
2
that was
and
just
1?
a little. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's crazy. Yeah, so we remember wolf telepathy and that Jared didn't actually, like, tell Jacob this story.
Poor Jared. Poor Sam. Poor
Poor
all of these
everyone.
guys.
Except for Quill.
I would literally hate this. I know Quill is like, party!
Living his best life. Jacob asks Bella what it's like to have Edward in her thoughts all the time. And then she tells him, well, I am immune
Yeah, dude.
to the boy.
What? He doesn't hear this.
Nah.
Mm-mm. Nope.
They sit together for a little while when Jake remembers the night at the movie when Mike was puking all over the place. And he's glad that he has such a good memory of those happy times. And that reminds Bella of Jacob's little tricky trick that he pulled on Edward at the school, and asks him what he was thinking about that made Edward so upset. He tells her he was remembering Sam's memory of the night that he found Bella alone in the woods, as well as how she looked the first few weeks that they started hanging out together. Bella gets mad at this and tells him not to do it again, and then she gets up to go and meet Angela. Jacob is sad that she's leaving, but she says that she'll come back the next time that Edward is away. which makes Jacob be an eye roll. He calls him a parasite. And so Bella says, well, maybe I won't come back until you can be nice, which I think is fine because that would be annoying. She's already annoyed by it after one day.
Yeah.
And she lays it out. If I am going to try and come back, you have to do something for me because I don't care who's a vampire and who's a werewolf. That's irrelevant. You are Jacob, he is Edward, and I am Bella, and nothing else matters.
But then Jacob, but I am a werewolf, and he is a vampire.
And I'm a Virgo.
Yes, Bella. We're bringing it in.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I mean, I guess I'll try. If you can do it, I can do it. Okay, just Jacob and Bella. None of those freaky Virgos here.
Really good.
Mm-hmm. And then they tell each other that they miss each other, and that is the chapter.
Right. Oh, so good. There's a part where, Jacob is like, I'm mortal. I'm a human. Like, my heart beats and my blood rushes and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm mortal, but just, like, enormous. And then Bella is like, I don't care. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Jake, she's like, I love Edward. She goes, it probably means there's something wrong with my brain. When she's like, he can't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with your brain, Bella. That means you're super special.
Yeah.
That means you have, like, something that no other human has.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You're
more powerful than Edward is.
Yeah. And
mentally.
then, yeah. No, she really is. And that does come true later in the book.
Mm-hmm.
She's the most powerful one there is. And then Jacob's like, I already knew there was something wrong with your brain, which just made me laugh.
Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really sweet chapter. They get a lot of stuff talked about and pushed out of the way so that they can move forward. Jacob has the hardest time moving forward for the next long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really rough for him.
Rough.
Poor sweet little baby
Aww.
Jacob.
Yeah. Baby.
Is that baby?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what is that? It's weird when you have these on. I can't really tell where noises are coming from.
That's a baby kitten. That's a sad baby kitten.
All right. So that was chapter 5 of Eclipse. A beautiful beach day chapter of conversation and getting stuff out of the way.
Learning stories.
So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're going to go record our bonus-ode for this
Oh my
week.
gosh, and if you want to hear our bonus-odes, which are a thing to listen to, come join us on our Patreon. There's lots of other content on there too.
Yeah, it's lots of fun.
Cool. Thanks for listening, and remember,
if you need to prove a point, always bring your zodiac sign into the mix.
Solid. I'm a Gemini.
I'm a Scorpio.
All right. I love you guys.
We'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.
I love the fade away when that happens.
Bye.